Okay, guys, so before I get started on the range today, and this is especially important because I just finished assembling this rifle, I want to go through what I call my pre-combat rifle check. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to start from the front and work our way back to ensure that there's nothing wrong with this rifle before, today all I'm doing is shooting on the range here. But if I was going to go hunting or go patrol, whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that I don't have any problems before I get out there. Okay. So typically, this is what I would do before loading the rifle to head out the gate. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is make sure the rifle's clear. I'm going to do what I call the 3-point check. I'm going to make sure there's no round in the chamber. I always use my finger because if we have to do this at night, we want to feel that there's no round up there. Okay. I'm going to check the bolt face. Same thing. I'm going to feel and make sure there's no round there. And last, I'm going to check the magazine well, make sure there's nothing in there. So that's the 3 points: the chamber, the bolt face, and the mag well. Now, if this was a pistol, it'd be the same way. I'd check the chamber, I would check the slide, I would check the magazine well. If this was a lever gun, same thing: chamber, bolt, and then in that case, it would be the tube most likely. Whatever your feeding device is, you always want to make sure there's no rounds there. Okay, so this rifle's clear. I'm going to go ahead and watch the bolt go closed on an empty chamber. I'm just going to start at the front. Excuse me. Just going to start at the front. My muzzle device, I'm going to make sure it's tight and not going to come off. Okay. I'm going to make sure any accessories, in this case I have a bipod installed, but I've also got a bipod adapter. So I need to make sure that that's not loose. You know, all your bolt-on sling mounts, light mounts, all that stuff, you got to double check that. Next, I'm going to come up, check my sling. You know, of course, I've got my sling mount, but I've also got the sling itself. You know, I need to check, make sure that this webbing isn't somehow pulled out of this tri-glide, and when I go to sling my rifle, it's going to come undone and the rifle's going to go dangling. Okay, so I'm just going to keep working my way back. I'm going to check my base. Nothing's loose. You know, if I had adjustable iron sights, I'd want to make sure those were set at the proper distance. And if I had an optic on here, I would also check to make sure the turrets and magnification were all at the proper settings. If I need the illumination, I'm going to check the illumination, make sure it's working. I'm going to check the condition of the bolt and chamber, make sure it's not full of sand and grit and other junk. Okay. Check my magazine release, make sure it's working right. Check any other accessories, check my rear sling mount. Just go through, make sure everything's where you need it. Make sure you have, if you need specific items, like I have specific stuff that I carry in my buttstock pouch, I want to make sure it's there. Okay. From there, typically that's when we would load, make ready, and then you're going to head out on your patrol or your hunt, whatever the case may be. Okay, real quick, kind of give you a brief overview of the range. So this is the 100-yard flat range that I use at class. Up front here, I've just got at 25 yards, I've got an 8.5 by 11 target. This is a good distance to do bore sighting and get my initial zero on. And then further out at 100 yards, I've got basically the same thing. Okay, guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is get my irons zeroed, and I'm going to zero them at a close distance of 25 yards and confirm at 230 yards. And what that does is gives me a max point blank range on an 8-inch target of 280 yards. So what that means is out to 280 yards, I should be able to put the center of the front sight post in as far as elevation is concerned. I should be able to put the center of the front sight post on the target, and the round itself out to 280 yards is not going to go 4 inches high or lower than the target. So within an 8-inch circle on that target, that round will hit somewhere in there. Okay, that gives me a very quick and easy way to sight something or to shoot something without having to calculate holdover. And I feel like 280 yards is a pretty good, I feel like that's a pretty acceptable distance with iron sights, honestly, especially ones that basically can't be adjusted, you know, like your M16A2 sights. You know, something like that, of course, you can shoot further with because it gives you the elevation and windage adjustments. But on something fixed like this, I think 280 yards is just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and zero these on paper at 25 yards. Now, There are some kind of circumstances, I guess, with my particular setup where basically I cannot raise the A2 front sight post on this Skinner Scout rail anymore because with my Scout scope, with my long iron leaf scope installed, it'll hit. So I'm kind of limited in that. So whether it's going to zero right at 25, I'm not sure. And depending on what the offset is, I may have to adjust my planning on this 25-yard zero. Right now I'm just getting my natural point of aim so that front sight post is in the middle of the target. Okay, fired my 3-round group. Make sure the weapon's clear. Okay guys, so here's my first 25-yard group with the irons. Looks like I need to bring the windage just a hair to the left. So I'll slide that sight to the right a little bit. But elevation wise, I was aiming basically in the center as best I could. I can tell you my eyes aren't what they used to be, that's for sure. Basically, when I'm focused on the front sight post, I cannot see that at all because that's about the same width as my front sight post. So what I think I'll do is I'll adjust left, and then I'm going to aim in the middle of this big white box versus trying to hit this little black spot and kind of see what that does. Now the adjustment on this Skinner rear sight for windage is, you can kind of see there's a slot by that first screw right here. So I just loosen that and I'm just going to slide it over just a hair. So I've gone ahead and made my sighting adjustment. And I'm going to go ahead and put 3 more on the target. Now I'm going to aim dead center of that paper versus trying to hit that little black spot. So basically, I didn't move it enough, I would say. Group's a little better though. You can kind of tell. Those 3 with the red line. Okay guys, so just fired my 3rd group. Forgot to hit play on the camera while I was shooting, but you can see now we're over here. So I kind of went a little too much. So I'm gonna make one more adjustment, try and get it a little better centered. We want it to be as close to center as possible because the further out we shoot, the further it's going to shoot to the left. So we might as well put the ammo into getting it zeroed right now. And that way we're not blowing ammo at distance trying to hit a target later. So what I think I'm going to do to help myself out is I got a pencil and I'm just going to put some witness marks on this rear sight in a spot where I can tell, if I move it a little bit. And so right here at the base, the rear sight and the scope base line up nicely. So I'm just going to put some lines that currently line up. That way, when I get done adjusting, I can tell how much I've moved it compared to where it was at least. Okay. Looks like my group shifted a little to the right. Got those two, and I had that one off to the side, but you know, I'd say the group's pretty dang close. I think I might just do just a hair adjustment more. And then I'm going to see if I can adjust that rear sight, because the rear sight threads in and out. And so if I screw it, I believe if I unscrew it, it'll cause me to lower the impact on the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make the slight correction right. And then I'm going to adjust it down one full turn on the rear sight, see what that gets me. Because ultimately I would like my group, I've been aiming roughly here, and I'd like that group to be a little bit lower. So you can kind of see all our other rounds were grouping up here. So I screwed in the rear sight one full turn. And that's what we've got. That was one full turn. I'm almost tempted to do it another half a turn. You know, it doesn't really look like I gained much on windage. I'm still pretty much where I thought I was. So I'm going to make that same windage adjustment again. And I'm going to go in a half turn on the rear sight, see what that gets us. Okay, guys, so down here, this was after that last group. I don't know what I did on my windage. I might have moved it the wrong way, is what it looks like. Elevation-wise, though, we're good. And that's actually 2 holes right there. 1, 2, 3. So, still shooting roughly the same size group that I have been the whole day so far, though. So elevation, I'm happy with that, but I'm pretty sure I moved it the wrong way for windage. So I'll go back and double check that. Okay, guys. I definitely moved the sights the wrong direction last time, so it's all right. Okay, I get a good natural point of aim. I would say that's pretty dang close to where I was aiming. Not a bad sized group either. You know, it's 25 yards, but for iron sights anyways. All right, cool. So took a few more rounds, but that's kind of, you know, I'm not too surprised by that. Still kept it under 1 box. So with the iron sights, you know, being how this is the first time they've been sighted in, I just had the rail and everything machined and mounted. But overall, I think the Skinner sights, Skinner Scout rail with those sights, I think it's going to be a useful addition to this rifle. They're definitely well made, nice looking. I like the fact that I could actually adjust the elevation on the rear sight as well as the front, because like I said, in this particular instance, I'm not able to adjust the front sight, which is what you would normally do when you're zeroing a rifle. And so it's up as high as it'll go. But by being able to screw in the rear sight, I was able to still get the rifle zeroed where I wanted it. Okay, guys, so now that I'm zeroed at 25 yards with those irons, you know, it's a 25 230 yard zero, and so I've got the near zero with the 25 yard confirmed. Now I want to confirm at distance. You can see out there right in the middle of the screen there's a white silhouette target. That's an 18 by 20 steel target. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can put some rounds on that. I'm up here on the target detection range. Let's see if I can put some rounds on that steel. The wind is basically a tailwind right now for me, which is just pure luck. So I have no means of adjusting for windage, other than the set screws, and I've got them locked down, so it's pretty much all Kentucky windage from here on out. Now with this 25-230, like I said, I've got a max point blank range on an 8-inch target out to 280 yards. So in theory, I should be able to aim center mass on this, and the rounds should elevation wise be able to hit. I'm going to try and time my shots between wind gusts. That target is about half the width of my front sight post, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Definitely going to need to get my natural point of aim good. All right, I think I'm on target. All right, first round hit. Second round hit. Take that one too. No, not number 3 though. I think I've got one more round. See if I can make this one count. There we go. Nice solid hit too. That's what I'm talking about. See, Uncle Sam's money didn't go to waste. Too much anyways. Okay, guys, I'm out at the target that I just shot, and I shot from kind of back right off this, get my fat finger in here, right at the tip of my finger, off that little rise right there. So here we go, 3 impacts on target. That's what we heard. I'll be willing to bet it's probably 1, 2, 3, because I'm not sure if the audio caught it on film, but the first hit, after you shoot on steel for a while, you can kind of tell roughly where you hit on the target by how solid of a hit it was. First one sounded pretty good. I know the second hit was, it was a hit, but it wasn't as solid sounding as the first. And then the last hit was very solid, which definitely would be this guy here. So not too bad. I'm pretty impressed with the Skinner sights. I think, 230 yards. It's pretty good. Considering that these are a backup and, mainly just to ensure that the rifle is functional, I think they're far better than, say, the normal like buckhorn and bead type front sights on the older lever guns and stuff. These are good aperture style sights, and if you're if you want to run irons full time, Skinner, the aperture on the rear sight is, you can change it out for different sizes. So you can put a very fine one in if you want to shoot very accurately, or try to. And then you can also remove it completely if you're trying to have a fast, quick low light sight, kind of like the old O2 sights on the M16A2. All right, so now that my irons are zeroed, I'm going to start on the long eye relief scope.